My name's John, and I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of my first job in planning. I started off in development control in a London authority where I dealt with a number of planning applications. And as part of that process, I was the officer responsible for assessing developments, small developments for houses, extensions, change of uses of shops and advertisements. And this involved sort of getting the application, having a look at the application, doing local consultation with neighbours, and then taking on board all the local planning policies and reaching a decision on those applications.
How long does it take? I mean, I guess they vary widely, but I mean, how long would you typically spend on?
Depending on the application and what type of application it was, you could spend sort of up to 8 weeks in deciding an application. It would depend if you had any objections. If you had any objections, then you would need to write a report to the local planning committee. And then local members, councillors, would then take a decision based on your report as to whether or not planning permission should be approved. For the more straightforward applications where there weren't any objections, you would sort of write a report which your team leader would then read, and then he would either make recommendations to you to make some minor amendments to that recommendation,
Okay.
conditions on an application or something like that,
Okay.
and then approve it, and then that was it. And normally we're set down regulations by the government which say we have to determine applications, if they're small applications, within 8 weeks. So if it goes over those 8 weeks, the applicant has the ability to appeal that decision, and then that decision is taken out of your hands and is taken by an inspector, which is appointed by the Secretary of State.
And in that planning role, John, what are some of the more challenging things that you have to deal with?
Yeah, it's probably the challenges in that sort of initial role. The challenging aspects were dealing with local members. If there were a number of objections and it got quite political, you'd have to liaise with the councillors and the local community or the objectors and explain what the application was. And sometimes you might get someone who's quite upset about an application coming forward, and so you'd have to sort of explain to them what the application was, what it actually meant for them, and sort of take them through some of the drawings, because a lot of applications, they're all architectural drawings, and so people can't sometimes understand those drawings or interpret them as to what it actually means in terms of height and scale and bulk. I mean, if you're talking about a 2-storey extension, some people can't imagine what that actually means in terms of the impact on them or overlooking. And in an inner area, a lot of issues come from people actually being able to look into people's gardens and whether or not they're going to be able to do that. So a loss of privacy or a lot of daylight or something like that.
Right. So from there you moved into a policy position.
Yeah.
What are the differences there?
Yeah, the differences between development control role and planning policy role is that in development control you're dealing with applications and you're interpreting policy. Whereas in the planning policy role, you're actually writing that policy, you're doing research, you're looking at the government's guidance, your regional guidance, which in London would be the Mayor of London's London Plan, and you're interpreting that, looking at studies, commissioning studies, and then getting an evidence base by which you'll then write policies for the local area. And normally within a local authority you'll have a council set of priorities about things that they want to deliver. It could be affordable housing, it could be more jobs, it could be a whole new town centre. And so it's the planning policy officer's job to put those policies down in a plan for the area and justify all of those so that there is a clear direction for the council.
So if you do a good job, your policy should be written in a way that it's easier for the development planners to make decisions.
Exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, it's essentially for the decision maker or the development control planning officer to then be able to get an application, look at your policies and go, right, it accords with the policies, so I'll give approval, or if it doesn't, I can then refuse it on the basis that it doesn't accord with those policies.